everyone, my name is Alex from O.W.L.s Reads, and welcome to my week 2 vlog of the O.W.L.s Magical Readathon. This is just going to be my little intro clip talking about the 3 books that I am planning to read this week. As I said in my week 1 vlog, which I will link down below, I am trying to pass all 12 exams, so read 12 books in the month of April, because it just gives me more freedom in August to figure out what career I want and which newts I'm going to be sitting for. I've divided those 12 books into 3 books a week. The 3 books that I'm going to be trying to read this week, and that will be featured heavily in this vlog, are Tarnished Are the Stars by Rosie Thor, Wind Witch by Susan Dennard, and lastly, Crier's War by Nina Valera. Tarnished Are the Stars I started last week and didn't say anything about in my vlog, but I got to page 120. I am enjoying this book so far. I'm just getting to know the 3 different narrators and how they're connected with each other and what this world is. This is the book that I will be reading for the astronomy exam. The prompt for astronomy is to read the majority of a book when it's dark outside, so I can only read this in the evenings and in the nighttime. But I'm excited for that. Wind Witch by Susan Dennard fulfills the history of magic prompt, which is to read a book about a witch or involving witches. Wind Witch is the second in the series. I read Truth Witch last month and really enjoyed it, and I am excited to pick it up and figure out what these characters are doing, where they are, if they are safe, what is happening. I really like the world, I really like the magic system, I really like the politics of it, and the 3rd book that I'm trying to read this week will be Crier's War by Nina Valera, like I said. This book fulfills the prompt for the divination exam. Basically, I numbered my TBR and then hit a random number generator, and this is the book that corresponded with that number on my shelf. And I'm not mad about it because I am highly anticipating this book. It's female romance. I think it's like a sci-fi fantasy situation. I think there's probably some, I'm pretty sure there's some forbidden love and some politics involved, and I love that. So that is my reading plan / my goal for this week, is to finish those 3 books. Much like last week, all I'm doing is staying home and maybe baking. I'm going to try to film more clips and make it a little bit more interesting, but I'm not sure if I will succeed. It is about 3:30 and I have not read a single page of a book today, but I have been, for my standards, pretty productive. It's been a journey in terms of me getting stuff done and the COVID-19 situation, so I am pretty happy with how this day has been going so far. I got a bit of movement in, I'm showered, I have real clothes on and not just pajamas, and I have edited a video today, and I've been making sure to drink enough water. I'm just giving myself a pat on the back because it's been surprisingly good so far. Before I force myself to do some university work, I'm going to try the first 50 pages of Crier's War. I am not exactly sure what this book is going to be about. I had heard a lot of hype about this book because it is like fantasy, sci-fi, political, intrigue, drama, female romance, and all of those things I like. And so I'm like very excited for this book. I think I'm going to like it, but I also know nothing about it. So I'm gonna try to read the first 50 pages and see what this is about. Hello everyone, another another day, another flannel. I have been slightly productive again today, which I am proud of. I just thought I would film this little clip because I got mail and I'm pretty sure it is either the rest of the books for my O.W.L.s TBR or crafting supplies. Yay! Yay, it is my books. I'm so excited. I recently moved and I was searching for my local indie bookstore and I found one just down the street. They are closed right now because of the coronavirus, but they are still taking online orders. So I ordered my books and hopefully one day soon I will be able to go because the pictures of this little indie bookstore look so nice. 3 of the 4 books that I ordered came today. I now have Platform 7 by Louise Dowdy, Heart of Thorns by Bree Barton, and House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. So I have 3 more books for my TBR. Today is Tuesday. And I have a little bit more of university work that I want to get done and finish Cryer's War because I love that book. And I'm very much wanting to know what is going on, and so I'm going to try and finish that book today. Hello, it is now around 7:30 on Tuesday. I have done all of my university work. I have filmed a video, I uploaded my week 1 vlog, and I've had food. I've done all of my allotted work chores stuff, and now I am rewarding myself with reading Cryer's War by Nina Valera. Hello, it's a bit later in the evening, but I just wanted to film this clip saying that I am 50% of the way through Cryer's War, and I am loving this book. I'm very invested. At 50%, the plot has been moving. There are just some reveals in the last chapter that I'm very excited to see how they play out. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm gonna try to read a bit more tonight to find out what happens. I think my favorite scene so far has been when the 2 main characters are alone together and Cryer is telling a fable that was just perfection in a scene. It made me really obsessed with this book, so I'm having a wonderful time reading this. Hello everyone. My hair is still wet. I have not read a single page today, but I wanted to talk about my TBR. Last night at around 12 I finished Cryer's War, and now I'm looking for a new read, and I think I will be changing up my weekly TBR because I have more books that I want to read. So here's my TBR. The books that are in this area are my to be read books. Those are the books that I have already completed. Like I said, Cryer's War is already completed, but I haven't really told you guys about it, so it's not there just yet. Looking at my beautiful TBR, it is super dark. Usually I have really colorful books, but man, is this dark. First up, in terms of changes to my TBR, I'm actually, instead of reading No Country for Old Gnomes, I'm going to read Blanca y Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. The prompt for Care of Magical Creatures is to read a book with a creature with a beak on the cover, and Blanca y Roja has 2 swans on them, and swans have beaks. Basically, No Country for Old Gnomes is not arriving until probably the beginning of May, so I can't read it. Anyway, but that means I have 2 retellings, and then sci-fi, thriller, fantasy, contemporary. Contemporary. So I think I'm actually going to pick up Platform 7 today instead of continuing with Tarnished Are the Stars. afternoon. I still have a bit more to do just around the house before I can spend the evening reading. I made 2 masks for me and my husband, just so that when we're at the grocery store, we can help just flatten the curve. But I wanted to talk about Crier's War by Nina Valera right now because I did finish it yesterday and I gave it 5 stars. I'm really in love with this book. It is just wonderful. We follow Ayla and Crier. Crier is the heir apparent to the country. She's been specifically made to be a ruler. She's very inquisitive. She knows a lot about the history, and she's also kind of aware that humans and the O.W.L.s need to coexist. And Ayla is a human whose family was murdered by O.W.L when she was young and has now spent her teenage years training with the express purpose of killing Crier. And through some turn of events, Ayla becomes Crier's handmaiden, and they are thrown together and they have to learn about each other and learn about the conflict between humans and O.W.L. So I really like this. This is a perfect example of what I like when I talk about hate to love. The trope, I think it works particularly well in a fantasy. I like when there are actual reasons to the negative feelings. Definitely Ayla has a lot more of that conflict of growing to appreciate and like Crier, when really she's had spent about 5 years training to kill her, and that inability to actually harm Crier and going through all of that, and Crier knowing that she doesn't really have quote-unquote human emotions but then feeling those emotions, I thought was wonderful. I really liked the way that this book was paced. I like that you get POVs from both Ayla and Crier, and that things happen from one perspective and you don't always know in that moment what the other person is thinking and feeling, even though it's a dual perspective. Yeah, I just really love this book. If you've been sleeping on this book, I would highly suggest picking it up, although I am a little upset that I can't read the second one immediately because I would have 100% done that. But I have pre-ordered it, so we're okay. Saturday. In 2 hours there's going to be another magical readathon all-nighter, but I think I will try and participate in that as well. I thought before the 24-hour readathon starts, I would do a little bit of a reading update because the past 2 days have been a roller coaster of emotion in terms of my reading, and I haven't updated. I've just filmed some clips. So after I finished the amazing 5-star read of Crier's War by Nina Valera, I decided to pick up Platform 7 by Louise Doughty. Oh man, this book. I did not like this. I did not like this at all. It put me in a mood. Oh man, was this not for me. This is a perfect example of why I don't traditionally pick up thrillers or arithmancy, which is, the prompt is to read a book that you, from a genre that you don't usually read. And I don't usually read thrillers. And this is why. Specifically books like this. Basically, the premise of this book is that a woman dies on a train track near Platform 7 in a town. 18 months later, a man also commits suicide on this, on Platform 7. And it turns out that ghosts exist, and you're following this woman figuring out what led up to her being on the train tracks. There's just a lot of stuff that I don't enjoy in a book. Basically, this is 400 pages of a man gaslighting and emotionally abusing a woman. I did not enjoy reading this at all, and it made me get really upset and in a bad mood for about 2 days. It was not fun. That's why I didn't film, because I was in a mood. At the end of the day, 2 stars. So then, because I was in a mood, I decided to read a book that I thought I was going to really enjoy. So I listened to the audiobook of Wind Witch by Susan Dennard, and I was correct. I did really enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars, which is the same rating that I gave Truth Witch, which is the first book in the series. Wind Witch did the thing where you establish this, in the first book there's some established relationships, there's some tension, well, not relationships, but just like dynamics between characters, and it builds up to this, like, there's a lot of tension and it builds up, and then you're at a place where you're like, oh, maybe they'll really connect, and we can explore that dynamic between specific characters. I'm trying not to spoil this. Between specific characters in the second one. And then in the second one, they're on opposite sides of, like, there's a lot of physical distance between them, so that other character dynamics can be explored, and so the plot can progress, and so you can see more of the world. And I totally get that with series. It happens a lot in, like, book 2 of the series, that characters that you're emotionally invested in and their dynamics are then, like, split apart and they have to come together in the 3rd or the 4th book. I'm okay with it because it allowed for more of the characters, for other characters to be in the spotlight, I guess. There was also a new POV, which I really enjoyed, and I think I think the second book really set it up for a great series, and I'm excited to see how the characters react based on what is being built up in book 2. But yeah, I gave that 4 stars. At this point, I've already reached my goal of reading 3 books this week, but because I was still upset about this one, I ended up picking up another book that I thought would probably be more my speed, and last night and then early this morning I read the rest of Tarnished Are the Stars by Rosie Thor. I am also giving this book 4 stars. I love the characters. It was just really nice. I love the tension between between Anna and Eliza. I liked the emotional journey that Nathaniel goes through. Yeah, I really liked it. It's a good ride. I did, however, think that the ending was a bit rushed. Like, we could have spent a bit more time on the ending and in the ending. But other than that, very good book. So I am currently not reading anything, but I have decided what my next read is. When the 24-hour readathon starts, I am going to try and pick up House of Salt and Sorrow. I am reading this to try and pass my Defense Against the Dark Arts. everyone, it is the next day and I thought I would do an update. My 24 hours of reading this weekend did not go as planned. I basically slept for 10 hours and woke up at 11:30, but now I'm showered, there's caffeine running through my veins, and I'm ready to pick up my book and read for the last 2 hours. Yesterday afternoon I managed to read 200 pages of House of Salt and Sorrows and make really delicious cinnamon rolls. So I count that as a success. I am exactly halfway through House of Salt and Sorrows. My thoughts currently, it's not as creepy as I was expecting. It's also a bit more slow paced because there are so many characters. Plus it is a fantasy world, so there is a lot of world building for what I think is a standalone. I think so there was a lot of build up at the beginning that kind of slowed the pace down, but now I think last 200 pages there's going to be more action. There has to be. And I'm excited to see what that is. So I'm going to try and read for the next 2 hours and see how far I make it. Maybe will I finish it? Will I not finish it? Who knows? Okay, so the second 24-hour all-nighter readathon thing for the O.W.L.s is done. I ended up reading until 3:15 German time because I literally had 25 pages left of this book, but I did it. I completed House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. Man, was I right. The last 200 pages of this book were really fast-paced, a bit creepy. There were lots of twists and turns, and I was really drawn into the world. There is a little bit of a love triangle, it's like love triangle light in this, but I thought it was really well done. Like I said, twists and turns and little creepy moments. I think 4 stars because really my only issue with this book was that it took a while to get into the actual story. But I think the ending wouldn't have been so satisfying if that work wasn't done up front. So yeah, I think 4 stars. Today is Easter Sunday, but because of the state of the world, we are not doing anything. I made cinnamon rolls, so those are our Easter treats, I guess. All I have to do is read, really, and that's what I want to do. So I'm going to pick up another book and try and see how far I get through it. I think next up I'm going to pick up Frankly in Love by David Yoon. This book is a contemporary. I think I'm in the right mindset right now to read a book set in the real world. I think this is going to be a quickish read because it is contemporary. It's about 400 pages as well, and I'll just see how far I get. So it is Monday morning and I thought I would do a wrap-up of this week talking about the books that I read and completed, what I rated them, and which exams I passed this week of the O.W.L.s. So first up, I read and completed Crier's War by Nina Valera. I read this book for the divination exam and I gave it 5 stars. I also read and completed Tarnished Are the Stars by Rosie Thor, the astronomy prompt, and I gave this book 4 stars. I also read House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig for the Defense Against the Dark Arts exam and gave this book 4 stars as well. I listened to the audiobook of Wind Witch by Susan Dennard and I gave this book 4 stars as well, and I read that for the History of Magic prompt. I also read Platform 7 by Louisa Dowdy and gave this book 2 stars, and I read this for the arithmancy exam. I also ended up reading the majority but not completing Frankly in Love by David Yoon. I got to page 300 of this book yesterday on Sunday, and I am reading this book for charms. 5 books in a week is pretty great. That was week 2 of the O.W.L.s Magical Readathon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are having a great day and reading a great book, keeping yourself safe and being kind to yourself, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!